So we got a question from Jess of Waukegan. Mahalo, Jess.
Who says, there's crime everywhere, but what spot would be the most safest one in Oahu to live in?
So let's get some answers, and let's go around the state. Let's get some answers from Maui, the Big Island, and Oahu. Aloha, I'm Peter Kay, and I connect with people that want to live in Hawaii. So if that's you, you want to get subscribed to the channel and click on the notification as we come out with new videos every other week. Well, what's the safest, most crime-free area on Oahu? Scott got right to the point.
Safest place on the island's probably going to be Hawaii Lower Ridge.
So yeah, Hawaii Lower Ridge has a gated community inside a gated community, and there's a security guard on the outside of the gated community. Scott was,
and I jokingly say that,
Scott was only half joking, because the truth is, while of course crime rates vary from one district to the next, Oahu's a really safe place. Safe place no matter where you live. Now, like any place else, crime rates will vary based on a lot of factors, one of which would be the socioeconomic makeup of the area. And if you look at it that way,
the more high net worth neighborhoods are probably going to be the safer ones. That East Oahu stretch from Diamond Head to Hawaii Kai is going to be the most consistent neighborhoods as far as nicer neighborhoods, safer neighborhoods.
Now keep in mind, we're talking relative crime areas. What someone might think is a bad neighborhood in Hawaii could be like an awesome neighborhood on the mainland. You can live on Oahu anywhere in relative safety.
There's not a single neighborhood that I feel uncomfortable going into here on Oahu. And I used to live in Kalihi for a little while. So did I. I had some of my best, nicest neighbors were my neighbors in Kalihi.
What about Maui?
Maui overall is pretty safe. I would say some kind of planned gated community might be your safest community versus being right in town, like downtown Lahaina or Wailuku. But most of my friends and clients and people that live in these places, they do not lock their doors. They don't lock their cars.
Now, is there any place on Maui that would be considered an unsafe area?
There's no neighborhoods that I could think of that are, really terrible or unsafe.
So to really emphasize this, I specifically asked
Heidi, is there any place on Maui where you would feel unsafe?
And I thought this was particularly revealing coming from a woman's point of view.
No. And I've definitely felt unsafe in like other big cities on the mainland in certain areas, but on Maui, there's nowhere I'd feel scared.
Yeah, what about the Big Island?
I'm of the same mind. I don't think there's anywhere that's unsafe.
But as Heidi pointed out, what really makes the place safe is not so much the district, but your neighbors.
One thing that helps you be safe is, it doesn't really matter the neighborhood you're in, but it matters kind of who your neighbors are, right? In my old house, I had 2 retirees in the cul-de-sac. My neighbor across the street was a policeman. Like, I literally could just leave piles of money in my garage open and nobody would ever take it, because there was somebody in the yard doing yard work or walking around or whatever at all times. And so as long as you're friends with everybody, they're always gonna look out for you.
And Dylan shared a really good story about how the neighbors are what create safety in your neighborhood.
My cousin stopped by one time and dropped something off, and I immediately got text messages from my neighbors saying, "Hey, there's somebody in your driveway, with a box," and it was a car they didn't recognize.
It's the relationships that you have with your neighbors, your immediate community, that makes the biggest difference in safety. So what's the takeaway here? Number 1, Hawaii's a safe place, no matter where you live. Number 2, you can live in any district on any island and you'll be fine. Number 3, it's your community, your neighbors, that will have the most profound effect on the immediate safety where you live. So really, you want to have really great relationships with your neighbors and help each other out. Helping each other out is a fundamentally island cultural value. That's what this place is all about. We're always working to help each other out. That's one of the biggest lessons you can learn. All right, got a question for me? Click on the description. I got a form. Fill out the form, tell me where you're from and your name so I can give you credit for your question. I'm Peter Kay, and I'm traveling through the greatest place on earth in some of the safest areas there are. Aloha.